Have you ever thought about Atriox throughout the Halo Infinite campaign and his apparent death? I'm sure that I wasn't the only one to be a little surprised and confused when he just showed up at the end of the game in the legendary ending. So in today's video, I'm going to explain as best I can what I think happened throughout the campaign with Atriox and how he's still alive at the end of the game and if he faked his death or not. I have a lot of points to share in this video which will make a lot of people reconsider their opinions about Halo Infinite story in general, so make sure you leave your comments down below and your theories also. But of course guys, don't forget to check out the timestamps in the description and drop a like on today's video. And also one thing to mention, we now have a community Discord server. We have a lot of great members already joined, and the first 100 people that do join the server will be automatically entered into a giveaway for some online multiplayer credits in the really overpriced store. So if you guys want to be in a chance to win those and be entered into that giveaway, make sure you go in the links in the description and join the Discord. But without further ado guys, let's get into the video. So to begin with, I'm going to briefly explain what happened in the storyline for those that want a quick recap. Again, make sure you check out the timestamps in the description to skip to whichever part of the video that you would like to as well, just to go past the parts which you already know. But of course, I would recommend you sticking through it all just for that little recap. And on the back of that, it will help you form your decision a little bit better. So the Banished were on Zeta Halo before the UNSC slipspace portal to the ring to lock down and retrieve Cortana. At this time, Cortana met with Atriox, and this is where she began discussing her plan and that humanity's AIs are the rightful holders of the mantle, and she's the one to take it forward. She gave Atriox the option to join her in the Created, but he declined, pledging his allegiance to the Banished. Cortana then summoned multiple guardians around the brute homeworld Doisak, and proceeds to destroy it. Cortana handed the motivation to Atriox to take over the Zeta Halo ring, control it, and have the upper hand on the universe. A weapon pointed into the universe, nothing left to lose. This is one of the motivations for Atriox invading and infiltrating UNSC Infinity at the beginning of the game. Atriox wanted to find a way to weaken or defeat Cortana so that he could take the ring for the Banished. One way to do this: the weapon. The Banished somehow knew about the weapon on the UNSC Infinity. I can only presume that this was found out when both factions had met on Reach, when Blue Team and the Chief were sent to Reach to try and obtain the weapon, but we don't really know this as of now. This is just all speculation. The UNSC Infinity was evacuated on the back of the orders from Captain Lasky and the remaining Spartans, which took the weapon down to the ring to plug her into the ring's forerunner architecture and systems to begin the lockdown procedure. Once this was done, the weapon imitated Cortana, locked her down, and waited for the Chief to collect her and escort Cortana back to the Infinity to go through the final dispensation process. But of course, this wasn't how it all played out, and the Chief was defeated at the beginning of the game by Atriox. Once Cortana was locked down, Atriox again met with Cortana and began discussing the terms of her surrender. Throughout this whole process, she was in disbelief that the Chief had been defeated, and when she was shown that the Chief was floating in space and that Atriox had defeated him, she was confused, but at the same time distraught. In order for Atriox to be defeated, Cortana knew that the UNSC or the Chief couldn't do it alone. Cortana knew the reason why the weapon was deployed and that she would go through a deletion process as soon as her mission to capture Cortana was completed. Without the weapon, the Chief wouldn't be able to traverse around the ring, access the forerunner infrastructure and architecture, and most of all, defeat the Banished. Cortana sacrificed herself and destroyed the Silent Auditorium with Atriox inside of it, preventing the Banished from taking over the ring, killing Atriox and giving UNSC more time to regroup and fight against the Banished forces. Throughout the story, after this, we're always alluded to that Atriox is dead. The Banished consistently say this, and Escharum is a key part in this. But then, of course, at the end of the game, we see him alive and well. But I have a lot of questions around this, and I want to talk about them all in this video in great detail and flesh out every possibility. Again, make sure you check the timestamps in the description down below to skip to whichever part you want to, but again, I would suggest to stick through them all and form your opinion that way. So, the first one, the title of the video: did Atriox fake his death? One of the things that I just can't seem to get my head around is that Atriox is alive and how nobody knows about it. At this point, I'm fully convinced that Atriox died in the Silent Auditorium. A blast like that would kill anyone or anything, and I think that it did. But on the chance that he did survive, why would he not tell the Banished about his survival or with him being alive? Why would he fake his death and hide away from the faction that he's worked so hard to build? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Atriox is the leader of the Banished, and the whole reason the faction was formed was because of him and because the Banished forces looked up to him and thought of him as a leader. We see throughout the story that they all speak extremely highly of him, thinking of him as literally some form of god. So why would he not want to tell them that he's alive? it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you drop them there and just answer this question for me, because I'm struggling to understand. The next point was around Atriox working with the Harbinger or the Endless. Now, this is a big question for me because I personally don't think that he was, and this is where a lot of confusion is in the community right now. There's a lot of points that we can talk about this, because of course at the end of the game we see the cutscene with the Harbinger, who is essentially talking to something that we don't know, and the weapon couldn't identify who it was because the connection was extremely old, potentially sentient. We don't know who it was that she was talking to. A lot of people alluded to, because of the legendary ending and with Atriox freeing the Endless, that it was in fact Atriox she was speaking to, because he had what he needed, the location and the key, and tell the Endless, which is the ones that he freed, that I'm sorry that it took so long. So maybe that's what 343 wanted to believe, that she was working with Atriox, but piecing the things together, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But this also goes back to my previous point. Why would Atriox want the Banished to think that he's dead? If they were working with the Harbinger, why would she keep this from the Banished, that he's alive? It just doesn't make any sense. Plus, put this theory into perspective. Atriox died at the start of the game, and Escharum was the one to release the Harbinger from Asylix. Atriox had nothing to do with it. So, how would the Harbinger know who Atriox is, and why would she be speaking to him at the end of the game? Unless a conversation happened prior between the two characters, Atriox and Escharum, in order to, the end goal was to free the Harbinger. But this wasn't reflected or fleshed out into the story, so we don't really know, and we can't really speculate on that and give concrete information. But if that was the case, again, we haven't been told about it, it wasn't fleshed out in the story. It's pretty bad story writing if that is the case, but I don't think that that is right. But these are two massive questions that I still find myself thinking about. And again, I've got a couple of others here that I want you guys to take into perspective, and leave all of them down below. How did Atriox survive the blast of the Halo ring? Did he die and the Harbinger went back in time to save him? But again, going on from that, the Harbinger shouldn't know who Atriox is, so that one should be crossed out straight away. Did Despondent Pyre save him? Because she knew Cortana was crazy and trying to free the Endless. So maybe she thought that Atriox was trying to help contain the Endless, and she wanted to save him, and so that he could do that. Again, I don't know, just again off the top of my head. Did Atriox, as he's done in the past many times, defy the odds and survive the blast? Was he potentially floating in space like the Chief and saved by someone or something? Or a really good possibility, and this is one that I'm actually now thinking about, it could be the case. Maybe it was similar to the end of the game, where the Chief and the weapon entered a portal which they weren't sure who created it, who put it there, and they're not sure who it was from. After a bit of speculation and linking the dots together, we do think that it was Offensive Bias that was potentially helping them out, but maybe Offensive Bias did the same thing for Atriox. Thought Atriox was here to help when Cortana was in there when she was locked down, and Offensive Bias put a portal in the Silent Auditorium very similar to what he did with Chief, and that's how Atriox escaped. He was then transferred to a part of the ring which we've never been on before, which was where the Chief and the weapon were transported to, the sort of the sandy biome, and maybe that's where Atriox was, and maybe that's where the Endless was. This might have been how he survived and how he came across the key and the location of the Endless, because he was transported to this location where there was no other banished forces or anything like that, and he may have just stumbled across this facility with the Endless inside. Again, we don't know how at this point, but it's a good possibility, and it does make a little bit of sense if we're going to link all the canon together in the game. And if we're going by just what happened in the game, it does link up. Offensive Bias put a portal in the Silent Auditorium. Cortana and Atriox were in the Silent Auditorium when it blew up. So maybe that is what happened. Bearing in mind, this location was on the other side of the ring pretty much as well, and it showed the damage at an angle that we hadn't seen in game before, so it'd be interesting to flesh out and see where they were standing and where they were teleported to. But guys, overall, let me know what you think down below in the comments. For me, the Halo Infinite story has left us with so many unanswered questions. With it being a 10-year game though, it isn't necessarily always a bad thing. Throw all your eggs in one basket within the first game or DLC, but I feel as though that a lot more could have been explained to us, even in audio logs or dialogue from the characters, or just secret things that we find along the way. But DLC 1 will flesh out a lot of this information, things like the Endless, how Atriox is still alive, stuff like that, and it will be explained to us eventually, and give us the answers to everything that we've all been waiting for. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more content. Don't forget to ring that notification bell down below if you guys want to be notified when a video does go live, and of course join my Discord server if you want to be updated and enter into some giveaways and stuff that, again, it's all be worth it while, and it's free, so you might as well join, keep up with the community. And yeah, we have a really good strong community going on in the Discord at the moment, and it'd be great if other people could join and then be a part of that, of what we're building here on the channel. It would be amazing. But yeah, it's growing really fast, and we're doing a 10k giveaway on there soon as well. So if you want to be entered into that, then make sure you do join. But guys, have a great rest of your day. Speak to you all soon. See you in the next one.